Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Hoops World. Today we're going to talk about the trade that happened last night, which included the four-team trade with the Houston Rockets receiving Robert Covington, Jordan Bell, and a 2024 second-round draft pick from the Warriors. The Hawks receiving Clint Capela and Nene. The Timberwolves receiving Malik Beasley, Juancho Hernan-Gomez, Jared Vanderbilt, Evan Turner, and an Atlanta first-round draft pick. And the Nuggets receiving Shabazz Napier, Keita Bates-Diop, Gerald Green, Noah Vonleh, and a Rockets first-round draft pick. So, why don't we start off with the Rockets and who they received? They received Robert Covington and Jordan Bell. What do you think about
So,
this?
you know, just talking about the players they received, Robert Covington, one of the best 3-and-D players in the NBA right now. I think his perimeter defense is still very solid. This will help the Rockets defensively on the perimeter, as he will guard their best player. But his 3-point shooting is solid as well. He's known for hitting contested shots. Now we get more open shots, so that'll be nice. Jordan Bell, I think, is just like a throw-in. I don't think he really has much value.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I think this is a really poor trade for the Rockets. Losing their only paint defense, paint threat, person to catch lobs. Who are you going to throw to PJ Tucker on the pick and roll? That's not happening. So unless they really get a center, which even if they do, they don't really have the assets to get a solid one in the playoffs, they're going to get dominated by Jokic, Davis, Harrell, all those players that come playoff time.
Yeah, I mean, at first look, receiving Robert Covington, Jordan Bell, and you're giving up Clint Capela, like the center that could stop many other centers. But I think Daryl Morey did this for a purpose, and I think Daryl Morey has a bigger plan for this. And I think he's going to get a center such as Tristan Thompson, Nerlens Noel, centers that are looking at expiring contracts and unrestricted free agencies this year. And I think Daryl Morey will end up forming some type of assets and try to get a center such as Tristan Thompson. So I think overall, for me, this Houston Rockets trade is not as dumb as it may seem at first.
I mean, if they can get Tristan Thompson, if that's their grand plan, then that's Tristan Thompson. In my eyes, might even be an upgrade of Capela in terms of playoff prowess. But like you said you don't think Daryl Morey is crazy enough. I do. I think he's crazy enough to actually roll out with 5 guards come playoff time, with PJ Tucker at the 5. And if you're a Rockets fan, I think that should scare you a little bit. I think this whole threes only, this whole pace and space offense, I think it works at times, but again, you miss threes, it doesn't work. You can't get any second chance points. You're gonna get offensive rebounded to hell. It's just tough, especially when defenses tighten up, to run this type of offense. But then again, they do have Russell Westbrook and James Harden, so.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, the type of offense they're going to be running with Robert Covington at the 4 and PG Tucker at the 5 is going to be essentially a shootout. You're going to have to outshoot the other team, scoring more threes, scoring more points.
Yeah.
And if you don't score more points, or you don't score more threes than them, you're just not going to win, which I think it's going to be very hard for them, and as they figure it out with PJ Tucker at the 5. But let's move on to the Hawks and who they received, which was Clint Capela and Nene. I think this is a great trade for the Hawks. Clint Capela, he's 25 years old. He's a young, promising center for the future who could be put next to Trae Young, catching lobs, playing the pick and roll very well. And then you could have John Collins space out the floor, which he's been doing very well recently. Over the past 1.5 years, he's been shooting the 3 at a 37% clip, which is a huge improvement from college. And I think just overall the trade in general was very good for the Hawks.
Yeah, I agree. I know the Hawks were looking at Andre Drummond, but I'm really glad they didn't get Drummond and instead they got Capela. I think Capela is just a smarter, better player than Drummond is. I think the thing with Capela is the Hawks are poor defensively, and Capela he won't shore up their defense, but he will help solve some deficiencies. That being said, it is, Trae Young. He's one of the worst defenders in the league. He really has to prove on that end. But he has a great work ethic, and his offensive ability is just he's a supernova out there. I think, like you said, that pick and roll with Capela and Young with Collins cutting, shooting threes with Herter, DeAndre Hunter, if he can emerge in as that perimeter defender. Cam Reddish is the wild card there. This Hawks team does have a good future, but the pieces do have to come together. And I think getting a player like Capela, while he might not be there for them winning a championship, he is, he's a good foundation, and that's important.
Yeah. I mean, as of right now, the Hawks are ranked number 28 in defense, which is obviously not great. And I think getting Capela is going to shore up those defensive lapses and basically help the Hawks, become a true contender for next year. I think with the proper pieces, they could be, in fact, a contender.
Playoff contender.
A playoff contender, obviously, not a championship contender. Let's move on to the Timberwolves now and who they received, which is Malik Beasley, Juancho Hernan-Gomez, Jared Vanderbilt, Evan Turner, and the Atlanta first-round draft pick. In my opinion, it wasn't a horrible trade for the Timberwolves in any sense. I think they received a promising guard in Malik Beasley, who was drafted 19 overall and never got the chance on the Denver Nuggets. But I think Juancho Hernan-Gomez is also a solid piece, a solid forward that can play the floor and give you good minutes. And they also got Evan Turner, which is an expiring contract, a big expiring contract, which they can use as an asset to trade later on. And they got the Atlanta first-round draft pick, obviously, that came from the Nets.
I agree and think it's not a bad trade. I think it's a decent haul. It really depends on Malik Beasley, but I'm pretty high on his potential. I really like how he shoots. He's a smart player. He gets in good spots around the court. But I think it is important that they do something with that first-round pick. I believe yesterday, Kat kind of posted some cryptic messages on his Instagram story, kind of like, what's going on? Like, oh God, this is not good. After they traded Covington, if they can get D'Lo, I don't know if they can with just this asset, but I think they have to figure something out to pair Kat with another quality piece, because that's your future right there.
Yeah, I think the main plan right here is to trade for D'Lo by Thursday. And I think Evan Turner's expiring contract, it's a pretty big contract. I don't know how much he's making. I think it's around somewhere 20 mil, something like that.
17, 15.
Yes. So his contract plus the first-round draft pick, plus maybe you pair in like Andrew Wiggins type player.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could create a package to send to the Warriors and acquire D'Lo, which would first make Kat very happy, and I think make them a playoff contender next year with another pick.
This trade is... We're going to have to look back on this trade in a few years and see how these young players emerge. But for me, I don't know, something I caught out of this trade is, the final piece of that Jimmy Butler thing, they traded him for Saric and Covington. Saric got traded to Phoenix, I believe, this offseason for, I believe, a very protected first or a couple of seconds. And then you trade Covington for a first and two decent young players, so... it's kind of Jimmy Butler for these players, and a haul for a superstar like him, it wasn't the greatest. But now we'll see how the Timberwolves recover from that.
Yeah, we'll definitely see, and we'll definitely look back on this trade and see who comes out on top. But for now, I'd say it's a decent trade for the Timberwolves. So let's move on to the Nuggets now, and let's talk about who they received, which was Shabazz Napier, Keita Bates-Diop, Gerald Green, Noah Vonleh, and a Rockets first-round draft pick. I mean, for what they gave up, Malik Beasley, he wasn't getting much opportunity in the Nuggets. Juancho didn't get much run. I think what they gave up and them receiving a first-round pick, I think this trade is great for the Denver Nuggets. I think they're definitely one of the winners from this trade at first look or at first glance. So.
Yeah, I guess Shabazz, he's had a decent year. Keita Bates-Diop, a nice defender-type player who can... score in bunches at times. Green is unfortunately still injured till April. Maybe he comes back postseason time, but he's erratic at times in terms of shooting. Noah Vonleh, I think his career might be over. I don't know if he's still got, the same ability or ever had, but, that putting that aside, for me, I think the first-round pick, what they do with the first-round pick is very important. For me, I think if they go for this year, if they believe they can win now, and if they go for it, a really quality player. Again, their depth is good. I think their starting five is very solid. Maybe they get, another. I don't know if they get someone with that first. If not, they still have that asset. So actually, when I first looked at this, I thought maybe the Nuggets lost. But now that when I looked at their roster, look at their depth, I felt like, okay, actually, as long as they don't get injured, and even if they do, they still have some players to plug in. And with Mike Malone as a coach, he really gets the best out of his players. I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, they had a loaded front court before this, and now them getting Shabazz Napier, getting rid of Juancho Hernan-Gomez, they're shoring up their guards, which they already have plenty of. Let me remind you, Monte Morris, Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Will Barton.
Will Barton's a beast.
Yeah, Will Barton's definitely a good, solid shooting guard. And I think without Juancho and Malik Beasley, they'll be just fine off. So I think for them, receiving a first-round pick, ensuring their future, making sure they have another solid player coming in, I think it's a good trade for them. But let's wrap up here and let's talk about who you think the two winners here, and who the two losers here are in the trade at first look. And in my opinion, the first winner I would have to give to the Denver Nuggets, as obviously they gave up barely anything and they received a first-round pick. And then my second winner would have to be the Atlanta Hawks, as they received a 25-year-old Clint Capela, which is who's a great pairing for Trae Young and can definitely form a big three with John Collins, Trae Young. And I think it's a great trade for the Hawks in general.
I would have to agree with you on the winners. Starting with the Hawks, I think Capela, D'Antoni kind of talked about this a couple of years back that we really haven't seen all what Capela can do. He can do more. It just, their offense is, single-handedly on, one player. So again, with the Hawks, we'll see if he can really emerge, as more in his arsenal. But even if he's just the same player that he is, he will improve this Hawks team, and I really like this for Trae Young's development, especially learning to play with the role big man who commands the defensive side of the ball. It'll help Trae defensively as well. And then, like you said, the Nuggets getting that first round pick, still getting some depth back. Whatever they do with the pick, I'm sure they'll do a good job. Whether it's trading for a player now, trying to put a package for Drew Holiday and just going after it, I wouldn't mind that at all. I think that'd be really solid. Yeah. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So in conclusion, I think the 4-team trade, the winners, we both agree on the Hawks and the Nuggets. And I think that wraps up here. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys like and comment. Make sure you guys comment down below also who you guys think the winners of this trade and who you guys think the losers of the trade are. And we'll see you guys later.